Hey fellow RAs, this is my project to tell you all a little bit about life events that have helped to shape me as a person and as the leader that I believe I have become today. The reason I'm doing this on video is just to be different. Okay, so let's dive in. When I was a freshman in high school, I had a very close friend of mine pass away. And through his death, his mother created a foundation called the Chris Marcino Foundation to raise awareness about the choking game. And through this foundation, I've had opportunities to participate in and help organize fundraisers like casino nights, scholarship, talent shows, even public service announcements. And I've gotten the opportunities to perform in honor of one of my very best friends' names, in his memory. When I think about this time in my life, I think about Chickering, obviously for managing emotions, because this was the first real adult time in my life that I had pain, that I had to learn how to manage my pain and to learn how I healed best. So in self-reflection, I had to figure out what works for me in order to control my emotions, in order to help build myself back up again after a very painful time in my life. And I think through a lot of the pain, I began to develop a purpose, which is also Chickering. I began to look at the interests that I had at that time and what I was doing in my life in a very critical lens, in the sense that in 10 years, what did I want to tell people that I have been involved in my life already? Like, what do I want to tell people as the reason behind my existence? And I think that this event helped me in the sense that it gave me a passion for the type of community service that I got myself involved in, as well as it made me very intentional, mostly in my speech with other people and relating to them. It is something very difficult to discuss, and this type of event forces you, especially when you're going into schools and churches, talking about this to raise awareness about a deathly subject, that you have to approach it with a sense of, I'm going to make you comfortable in the conversation, I'm going to make me comfortable in the conversation, and I'm going to be aware of how you're feeling in this conversation. The next big leadership opportunity that presented itself in my life that I worked for was a student conductor position my senior year of high school in my high school choir. So I basically split the class time with my choral director, in that I taught some of the class and she taught some of the class. I ran warm-ups and I taught music and I got to conduct on our concerts. And in this, I'm thinking Chickering, and I'll tell you why. It's because I had to learn how to reduce my bias in the classroom. I had to put my teacher hat on and not think of some of these people as my best friends and some of them as people that I'm acquaintances with. I had to think of them all as my choir. We're all striving towards one goal, and I had to increase my awareness for how I was acting and my intentions in the classroom. I had to appreciate the diversity that each person brought, that this person can bring something to the choir and this person brings something completely different, but the choir would not sound as beautiful without either one of those people's contributions. And I learned how to appreciate that and how to manage myself in that situation. The next big opportunity that I want to talk about is a trip that I took this summer to South Africa to study traditional and folkloric choral music in post-apartheid South Africa. This is South African music. The biggest thing that I'm most grateful for about my South African excursion was Perry related, and it's commitment. I learned things in South Africa about myself and the world and the nature of culture and diversity that appointed me with an obligation to authentically teach other cultures in my classroom. Um, I have a responsibility to respect diversity. I have a charge to immerse myself in other cultures for the benefit of those around me. In any scenario, for the benefit of my students, for the benefit of my residents, for the benefit of being a socially, globally aware citizen. Um, and I think the commitment in my values leads into the commitment in my career and leads me to a different path of what I would have done. Instead of just teaching Western classical choral music, everyone sit down and let's learn some Dvorak. Let's teach a South African piece in the way it is taught in South Africa, without sheet music, in a completely oral tradition. And the same goes for other cultures that I will be having to learn about, that I want to learn about, that I desire to know so that I can better myself as a person and better my relationships with other people. In discussing the reason that I wanted to be an RA, it wasn't leadership related at all. It was that I wanted to give the next freshman class a better sense of community and sense of belonging in their hall than I had. I had a fantastic RA who I watched try all year to foster community between very different groups of people in our hall, and it just didn't happen. Sometimes it doesn't happen, and it didn't. And I wanted so greatly to have that community that my mom had in college, where everyone had pizza parties like every Friday night or whatever. And I just wanted to be that resource for people to help foster relationships among each other, to build a social identity within a residence hall. I think in interviewing for this position, I think everyone could have just ignored my leadership stuff in high school and my leadership stuff last year and my club involvement, because I think the biggest thing that got me hired was the fact that I want to be a teacher, and I'm so interested in the developmental psychology of students this age, especially still in the teenage years, and that I want to foster that environment, and I think that was really what got me hired over anything else. Thanks for listening, though. I'm sure this video is really too long. Bye.